Okay, we're going dark for this one, and we're going to need it because this is really going to be the appropriate setting for this type of music. So when I was listening to this album for the first time, you see I have my Metallica sweatshirt on today. And my first impression when I listened to their first album was like, wow, this kind of sounds like Kill 'Em All era Metallica. And listening to this new album called Warlocks Grim Withered Hags, a thought came across my mind. I'm like, I wonder if Metallica would sound like this today if like they never became popular, like if they stayed in the underground. I wonder if they would have sounded like this. Like, so that's kind of like what my impression of this band is. So let's talk about it a little more. I'm going to be talking about the album Warlocks Grim Withered Hags from Hellripper. It just came out today. And it's a one-man black speed metal band formed by James McBain in 2014, and he is from Scotland. His musical influences are the black metal bands of Darkthrone, the thrash of early Megadeth and Metallica and Slayer, and some like early like Motörhead. Those are like the influences you hear. It's a big mix of like classic thrash and black metal. The black metal is mostly, I would say, in the vocal style, but you do get some of it in the instrumentation, but the instrumentation is mostly that old school thrash. Lyrically, it's very dark. They talk a lot about witchcraft, occult themes, satanic themes.
Then what makes you the authority on right and wrong?
Because I'm a cop, and it's the law.
Well, I'm the devil!
Yeah, so for example, on this album, they have like two different songs. One called Noklevi, I think that's how you pronounce it. It's about like this horse-like demon from like folklore. And supposedly it's like this like evil thing from like the Scotland's Northern Isles. And then another song called Mr. Storm Worm or an evil sea serpent from Orcadian folklore. So supposedly this sea serpent can contaminate plants and destroy animals and humans, and he does it with his breath. So some pretty like evil stuff. So this is a very dark and evil album. So let's talk about it a little more. 8 tracks, 45 minutes. It's kind of, again, like that old school. It kind of reminds me of like Master of Puppets, how that was, 8 songs, 45 minutes. That's kind of what we get here. The songs different lengths. Anything from like 3 minutes to like 8 minutes. Mostly lots of old school thrash, new wave of British heavy metal, black metal, and some of that like early like Motörhead style heavy metal. You get a lot of that. So let me talk about the songs. So the opening track, the Noklevi, like I was talking about, this is just fast-paced, classic thrash and black metal, heavy riffs, and some atmospheric black metal mixed in the instrumentation. Now they do have some melody in the breakdown, and then there's a guitar solo that mixes that traditional shred with a melody and some black metal riffs and tremolo picking. And I Deceiver is more old school thrash. I'm thinking classic Metallica, like Kill 'Em All style, that type of Metallica. The verse was more like black metal style, more of that like atmosphere and the guitar sound. But the drums very fast paced. The breakdown was classic thrash metal, mixing black metal vocals and some thrash metal riffs and some like new wave of British heavy metal riffs. You get a little bit of that here as well. The title track, Warlocks Grim Withered Hags. The intro reminded me of like Iron Maiden, but mixed with that Master of Puppets era Metallica, like those like heavy chunky riffs. And then they added some like elements of black metal. This one is like a little slower, a little more atmospheric. You got the old school guitar solos, the galloping guitar riffs. There's a breakdown with cleaner guitars. It has some melodic solos. At one point the guitar even sounds like a bagpipe. I thought that was a pretty cool touch that they did. Goat Vomit Nightmare was fast and heavy, short and to the point, classic speed metal, something like a Motörhead type of song. You got the classic guitar solos, the fast-paced drumming, the breakdown with the clean guitars and melody. And then The Cursed Carrying Crown was an old school thrash metal song. And this one, I think they're like paying homage to Slayer, because at one point you hear that like Angel of Death scream. It's just like really cool, fast-paced, and this one has like those Iron Maiden melodic riffs mixed in with like just like that rapid fire, fast pace and that thrash metal sound and some deeper vocals. So we got the Hissing Marshes. This is the one that reminded me a lot of Motörhead as well. It has that like bass intro, then goes into more of a black metal direction as the song like moves on. More atmospheric, just very energetic and fast-paced. Then Poison Womb, The Curse of the Witch. This one mixes like the melody and like the heavy, so it's, you know, it has some like kind of like softer, cleaner parts here and there. You get like little like touches of that, but just very energetic and some like old school solos. And the final track, the Mr. Storm Worm. This is a longer song. It's the final one. It's old school thrash metal, reminding me of the band like vio-lence. But the vocals, they do some different stuff on the vocals in this one. So throughout the album, most of the vocals sound like Darkthrone, you know, that type of traditional black metal style. But this one, they use a lot more of those like death growls. I'm thinking of something more along the lines of Cannibal Corpse or even Testament from like the Demonic album, like that type of like death growl. But this song has elements of black metal and atmosphere. It has lots of blast beats and tremolo picking. So that's popular in black metal music. And then the breakdown with melody. The clean guitars come in and out, and you get these Iron Maiden harmonized guitar riffs. And then the outro is a little more melodic, and that closes out the album. So this is definitely a surprise for me. It was a band I've heard of. I've heard other channels talk about it. And I listened to them for the first time this week. I was actually surprised. I was kind of like expecting something a little more like black metal, but it's actually a type of band I think they kind of cater towards like the old school metalhead, like people like the 40 and over kind of crowd who listened to Metallica in the early days and listened to old King Diamond and those types of bands where they were just like very raw, very heavy. And so I think this band is paying homage to a lot of those classic bands. So that is what I thought. I like it a lot. 8.5. I think this is a contender for album of the month. Like so far, it's between like this one and In Flames for album of the month. But we'll see when I do that video at the end of the year, at the end of the month. Sorry. And that's all. Check out this playlist. Other 2023 album reviews. I think I'm around like 13 or 14 at this point. So that is all. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. See you on the next one.